Welcome back to another episode on the Expand Your Awareness podcast. My name is Aaron Doughty, and today we're going to be talking about the fifth dimension. So, like I said, sometimes I say this before some videos. This video and episode is going to be a little bit more esoteric than normal. I'm going to be sharing some ideas that have kind of changed the way that I see myself, that I see the world. Back in 2012, I started learning about some of this information, and at first I thought it was way out there and woo-woo. And then what happened is I started reading some books. I read some books called The Law of One, some of the Dolores Cannon books. I listened to Bashar, and some of these resources then kind of led me to understand this in a more practical way, because sometimes this stuff can seem so esoteric and etheric that it's kind of hard to connect to and ground into what does it actually mean. But in this video or this episode, what I'm going to be sharing with you is also a message that I kind of got when I was in plant medicine ceremony back in 2018, a couple years ago. I'll just kind of maybe I'll just share that with you now. So when we talk about first off, let me give a general overview of the third dimension to fifth dimension. And you could say, some people say the fourth dimension is just time. In actuality, I think we're actually in what is the fourth dimension right now. In a way, it's like we still have duality in the fourth dimension, but it isn't completely integrated to oneness, which is like the fifth dimension. So, okay, third dimension is separation. The third dimension is linear thinking. The third dimension is polarity, good, bad, light, dark. And also there's this common theme in the third dimension where there's a lot of fear, or there's this common theme of control. So there's been, it's what we call part of the Great Awakening. There may be a lot of people, some people that know this, and what they do is they orchestrate reality to be a certain way where it keeps kind of a lot of people in the dark and asleep so that then they can remain in power. And part of the third dimension is us learning to take our power back. It is learning that polarity and learning how to be responsive rather than reactive, how to break out of the autopilot mind. The news does a very good job at keeping people in a third dimensional state of consciousness. And the thing that I believe is happening right now on the planet is we are moving from what is called a third dimension state of consciousness into a fifth dimension state of consciousness. Fourth dimension apparently is time. There's different terminologies for this. So it's hard for me it's kind of cringy for me to even say third dimension, fifth dimension. There's also third density, fourth density. There are different understandings of this. I like actually using the word density better, but people seem to resonate with the words dimension more, I think. And the difference is kind of subtle in some ways. It just depends. It's like, how do you want to describe it? If you read the Law of One material, it talks about how we're moving from third density into fourth density. You read other books, it talks about third dimension and the fifth dimension, fourth dimension being time. So whatever your flavor is, when I was learning about this, I was first learning about dimensions, and then I eventually resonated more with densities. But it's kind of the same thing. It's going to be kind of the same understanding, as it's just the meaning we give it. So I'll be kind of sharing what that is and what that looks like in this episode. And so the third dimension is more about separation, control, linear thinking, reactive. It's normally more heavy, more serious, more heavy energy just in general. There's sometimes like a surging of like suppression of emotion. So this is a lot of times when we see that of like what's happening in the world right now with a lot of purging that's going on. Purging is a letting go of those suppressed emotions so that we can then raise our frequency. And then the fifth dimensional state of consciousness, fourth being time. So from this perspective, I guess, so I don't like the terminology as much, but then the fifth dimensional state of consciousness is that of love, connection, fun, high vibe, purpose and mission, alignment to the higher self, oneness, understanding that we're all connected, remembrance, unity consciousness. This is the fifth dimension state of consciousness. Now, if you can visualize that scale that I share in many of my videos, you have at the bottom shame, fear. You have fear, anger, neutrality at about 250, willingness at 310. 400 is reasoning, the intellect and the mind. That's where we understand our beliefs create a reality. 500 is love, and then 600 is joy, and then we have peace and enlightenment. This is the scale of consciousness. Everything resonates at a certain frequency, and as we move through our life, the goal is for us to be elevating our level of consciousness or our vibration. Now, what you can think of when you visualize this scale is think of the third dimension state of consciousness as anything below like 380 and below. That's like willpower. That's where a lot of personal development is. But then under that, we have that of anger, fear, neutrality, pride, courage. These are all, and not that we don't have some of those, like we don't have courage in fifth dimension, but it's from a different place, I think. Now, that's what like the third dimension state of consciousness. And then the fifth dimensional state of consciousness would be like 450 or 500 and above, which is like love and above. That's fifth dimensional state of consciousness. That's what I believe we're moving into right now. Now, here's the interesting thing. I believe that we have the ability and the option right now to be in a third dimensional state of consciousness or a fifth dimensional state of consciousness. It's up to us and our vibration. Some people that are experiencing less preferable things in their life, some of those people that are experiencing that, it's because they may be in a third dimensional state of consciousness, reactive, watching the news, feeling that separation. And when any one of us can do the work to then be in a fifth dimensional state of consciousness where we're more so going with the flow, we are able to observe from a place of awareness, or we're more so in our power. All of us have the ability to be in that energy. So it's almost like it's overlaid right now. Some people, when we heard it, when I learned about this in 2012, there were millions of people around the planet that were thinking it was going to be literally jumping into a new dimension, a new place. We think in terms of linear, like the 3D thinking. So we think, oh, this is a different place. I'm going to go somewhere else. Grab your grandma, grab your kids, let's make the jump. And I've talked about this with some people. I've shared this on the podcast before, but I was thinking maybe you had some people that were coming out that were like influencers that were talking about this back in 2012 when the influencer space was very different. And it was like, oh, maybe this is a potential. Maybe we have an option to move into this level of consciousness. But then I realized eventually that no, this is a metaphor for an energy that we all get to tap into now. So this fifth dimensional state of consciousness is understanding and remembering who we are. I believe there could be gifts that all of us have potential of tapping into. Intuitive abilities, clairvoyant abilities. These will be more able to tap into in the months and years moving ahead. And we will be experiencing kind of this shift in consciousness to where then it's also a shift in reality, where some people may be experiencing a lot of pain, but we may not have to experience that pain because we may be in a fifth dimensional state of consciousness, and which means that we respond to it differently, but also it literally has a different reflection. It's like these different timelines all are interwoven, and the state of consciousness we're in determines what we experience. So it's really up to us. So back in 2018, actually this is 2017. This is 2017. This is my second time ever doing plant medicine. I went to this place in Costa Rica. You do it 4 nights in a row. I wasn't even open to it. I was just going to get like a free trip and vlog about it. And I wasn't even going to take the ayahuasca, but then I decided to do it because I just kind of got sucked into it in a way, like I felt guided to kind of do it. So what I did is it was the second night. No, it was the third night. It was the third night. Second night, it was actually a lot of fun. Second night, my buddy Victor and I, we were just chilling, having a great time. You normally are like laying on these mattresses and you're not supposed to talk to anyone else, but we weren't really feeling it. At least we thought we weren't feeling it. We go outside and we just start joking around and we were talking, and we actually got in trouble for talking. One of the shaman came over and was like, you guys got to be quiet. People are hearing you inside and stuff. We're like, uh-oh. But it was one of the funnest like memories of us. We were just having so much fun talking. We were actually talking about the ascension and all this stuff and how overboard we both thought it was going to be back in 2012. And we were kind of laughing about it. And we had like 3 or 4 cups that night. Every like couple hours they'll offer like a little cup shot of this the ayahuasca, and we took like 3 or 4. We didn't really feel it. This is the second night on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday night we go in. And we're thinking, oh, it's gonna be good. Like we didn't feel it much last night. We just like take the whole cup. Took the whole cup. I go lay down in my bed off one cup. It then hits me after like 30 minutes, and as it hits me, I had some realizations. And here were the realizations that I had. They changed my life in many ways. And this helped me understand what's happening and what's going to be happening moving forward. So what happened was, I'm laying there. It starts to come on, and I'm just like, whoa. I start feeling this energy in my body. And I started feeling my heart open up so much. And I started to feel so much unconditional love in my body that it scared the shit out of me. Now, that sounds so paradoxical, right? How could you feel so much love that you want it to tone down? But it was so much powerful love, and my body was feeling it so much that I was like, okay, I think my ego was trying to control it. And I was like, you got to tone this down. This is like too much. It's too much energy in my body. Like, I felt like something could happen. My chest is going to explode with the love. I don't know. But the message that I got, and just to kind of rewind a little bit, many of you may know my story, but back in 2012, I went through a spiritual awakening, and part of it that happened was, I share this many times, this little kind of analogy, but I used to feel on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 feeling amazing, 1 feeling like horrible, I used to feel probably about a 3 out of 10. I was like trying to suppress it. I was trying to numb it a lot by smoking a lot of weed, by taking Adderall, by drinking, and I felt like a 3 out of 10. Sometimes if something was great was happening in my life, I might feel like 4 or 5 out of 10. But that was basically where my energy was. I learned meditation. I learned how to observe my thoughts. I let go of a lot of the old beliefs I had. I started to realize that there's more to life than this 3D physical realm. I started to realize that as a spiritual being, having a temporary human experience, just like everyone else is, but I became aware of that. And as I did, I started to feel completely different. Within a couple of weeks, I was feeling at about a 7 or 8 out of 10. I started to feel high all the time. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped drinking. I stopped taking Adderall. And since then, I don't do that. Not because I'm better than anyone, not because I'm trying to sound like a square, where you're like, oh, this guy sounds boring. But I feel high majority of the time. And I remember walking around my room thinking, is this feeling ever going to go away? And the truth is, it never really went away. It just became my natural set point, so it was a little bit less euphoric, like and new. However, I viscerally remember that feeling. Now, back to Aya experience, I'm laying there on the third night, going through this unconditional love, and basically what I was shown is that, oh, buddy, you think that you're feeling a 7 out of 10, here's a 15 out of 10. How does this feel? Not to be mean to me, but to show me there's more than this whole 1 out of 10 scale that you have in your head. There's more. And that unconditional love, that feeling I was feeling, the message I got was that in the future, humanity as a whole, every single person will have the potential to feel that vibration as their natural set point. And one of the things that I was always wondering is, why doesn't it happen quicker? Why can't we just feel it now? But my answer that I got that night was, if you felt this now, it would shock your system. You wouldn't be able to contain it, and it would freak you out a little bit too. So instead, you get it kind of layered on. You kind of turn the dial up in a certain way over the years moving ahead so that you can more so embody it and clear up the things that you want to let go of. Part of this experience on ayahuasca is the vibration becomes high to where then you purge out what doesn't serve. Subconscious beliefs, memories that don't serve you. And as you purge, you then raise your frequency. Well, the metaphor is that what's happening on the planet right now is literally there's a purge of fear that's coming up. There's a purge of lower vibrational emotion that we are clearing so that we can then raise our vibration and bring through a higher vibrational state of consciousness, which we could call the fifth dimensional state of consciousness. So right now we are shifting from that 3D level of consciousness into the 5D level of consciousness. And I believe that in the future, we all have the ability to tap into this vibration of this 15 out of 10, which maybe means it's actually like 15 out of 20 or something like that, but it's even more amazing than we can imagine, and that we have the ability to feel it. Now, something else in light of everything I'm sharing right now by raising our vibration in 5D level of consciousness, which I know sounds kind of esoteric, by the way, I do have something that I've recently made. It's a 21-day challenge for raising your vibration into this fifth dimensional state of consciousness, with a video every single day showing you how to do this work, meditations that help you shift into a 5D level of consciousness, so that by the end of it, you are a completely new integrated version of you. And it's going to have a group dynamic aspect as well, where there's accountability. You post things in a private Facebook group. So this is the 21 Raise Your Vibration Challenge. Go to aarondoughty.com/challenge, CHALLENGE. aarondoughty.com/challenge. Join the 21-day challenge. You can join right now if you go to that website or go to that link. And I want to help you raise your vibration. We can all do it together. So if that's something that resonates with you, you can go there and we'll work on this together. It has to do with letting go of shadow aspects of ourselves. It has to do with learning the exact meditation that I've been using, raising your vibrational set point, modifying your diet and your activities and your lifestyle, and just doing it in a way that resonates, that's not too much at once, because then it's not practical. But I show you exactly how to tap into that 5D level of consciousness. And by the end of that 21 days, you will be a new version of you with a new self-image and also with a completely new vibration, which means you're going to attract things in a different way. You attract things easily when you're in a high vibrational state. That's what the end of the 21-day challenge will help you to do. And the accountability helps you to stay consistent as well, which means you post things in the Facebook group, you show proof that you're doing these things, and it's very powerful. So if you want to be a part of that, go to aarondoughty.com/challenge, and we could do that together. So the other aspect of this that I want to talk about has to do with the fifth dimensional state of consciousness. It has to do with understanding the connection that you have to your higher self. Now, every single one of us has what is called a higher self. Our higher self is an aspect of us that has almost like, think of it on a mountaintop. There's a higher self of us that's on top of a mountain that can see us in the valley and can see our past, present, and future, and can kind of guide us in a way. In the fifth dimensional state of consciousness, we start to bring more of that higher self into our body, and we start to embody more of it. We start to get more and more in alignment. And that means that we experience more flow in our life. We enjoy life more. That means that our reality becomes much more magical. And the way you connect to this is, honestly, you can do it intuitively. Some ways that I do this is I'll ask for signs. Like, our reality is, in a way, a form of dream. We are right now asleep in higher density of reality, dreaming this is who we are. And what we're going through is we're going through this shift from what is called third density into fourth density, or the third dimension to the fifth dimension. We're going through this shift. And one thing that we do is, as we raise our vibration, it becomes easier and easier for us to connect to our higher self. One way I do this is I set intentions for certain answers. What is the answer to this? I'll set that intention and just know and set the intention, and by the end of the day, I'll have some answer to what that could be. And I'll just kind of keep my eye out. I won't be looking for it all day, but I'll just kind of like get signs of it. And that's one way that you could tap into it. You can also just learn to connect more in meditation. Sometimes in meditation, I'll set the intentions and kind of just observe my thoughts and observe the ego. Like, this isn't like an ego avatar, our body is. And the ego's not bad. The ego's meant to help us survive. But in order for us to really thrive, the key is connecting to our higher self. The key is in meditation, observing the ego mind, and having the intention to connect to a higher source energy that's within all of us. And as we do that, we find that it has a profound effect on our own energy. So this is where also we begin to connect to, sometimes, this will get even more esoteric right now, but if you study the Law of One, Dolores Cannon material, Bashar, we're all multidimensional beings that we've forgotten that. That's part of the third dimension. We create this game of separation. Part of being multidimensional is that we have connections to different levels of consciousness. We have connections to that of different star systems even. Our energy is so vast. As spiritual beings, we've been so brainwashed to think that that's like crazy talk. But we think that in this term, like, I have only ever incarnated my energy on this one planet that I'm at right now. When in actuality, our soul is so vast and so eternal, and it's like the idea infinity and eternity, we can't even conceive of it in a 3D physical mind. But the key to this is understanding that we're so vast that we also have connections to different levels of consciousness over that of the third and fifth dimension. And deep down, you probably feel this too. You probably know this, even if it sounds kind of esoteric. But part of our higher self is connected to these different star systems. And what we're doing in this life right now is we're bringing through these different energies that all of us are connected to and bringing it into this life right now that we're experiencing. Now, I also have something that I'm going to link in the description box. I was reading the comments of this. It's a free meditation on YouTube that I made that now has almost 400,000 views. It says, this meditation will shift you into the fifth dimension. And some of I was looking at some of the comments yesterday, and I was just kind of not surprised, but I was like, wow, you read the comments and see what's possible. But Rainier said, this is by far the most powerful meditation I've done yet, and I've been meditating for over 6 months now. Thanks, Aaron. I'll update you after 21 days. Nikki says, this meditation has been life-changing for me. Stick with it. I got a new job, an amazing experience through doing this meditation. I missed some days, but I've done it about 16 times. The idea is to do it for 21 days. It'll change your life. Day one, Merlin Josh says, day one of my life has already changed. This is where it gets esoteric. I astral projected in my 5D Sirius family. I was there with them in my 5D body. It was so profound and vivid. They shifted me into a 5D reality and told me that I made it and that this was it. This is a lot of these things are metaphors for our own energy at higher levels, but there's many different. I saw a lot of colors radiating. I wasn't imagining. It was literally there. I approached the 5D crystal palette. So like what I do is I take you through a guided meditation into like a higher reality density with your higher self. And yeah, I was reading the comments last night and they're amazing. So if you want to check that out, you just type in this meditation will shift you into the fifth dimension, Aaron Doughty, and you'll see it, or I'll link it below. But yeah, this is also kind of a taste of what that may be like, and that kind of energy, kind of like what I experienced that night on Aya. The idea was to bring through a very metaphysical, kind of esoteric experience that I think could be very powerful. So check that out as well. But yeah, this shift I think is happening, and the key is to get in the vibe that we prefer so that we can experience more of what we want. And like I said, if you want a step-by-step process that helps you to move through that in an easy way, the 21-day Raise Your Vibration Challenge, you can join right now by going to aarondoughty.com/challenge, and you can join. We can all do this together, and by the end of it, be more in 5D reality, change our self-image, change our vibrational set point, and start to feel love and above more of the time, and to really integrate and let go of the lower vibrational stuff that we don't prefer to experience. So with that being said, go ahead and join the challenge if that resonates. If not, no worries. I will see you guys and talk to you guys in the next episode. If you haven't already, can you also do me a favor and review the podcast? It really helps the podcast grow. Share the podcast as well. It really helps me to keep doing these. I'm also soon going to be doing podcast episodes where I bring people on more often, almost every episode. That's the goal. It'd be more conversationalist style, kind of like Joe Rogan style in a way, where it's not just asking questions, but it's actually dialoguing. I'm going to create a studio, and yes, the stuff I'm working on right now. So let me know if that's something you're interested in as well. And other than that, as always, I'll see you on the next video. Peace, much love, and namaste.